Welcome to Nerds Amalgamated, a podcast that covers the latest events in science, pop culture, and gaming.
I'm the professor, aspiring game developer, sci-fi aficionado, and completely and undeniably a geek trying to take over the world. I'll be breaking down the news from tech to gaming.
I am the DJ, a humble nerd, a big weeb,
and a watcher from the halls of the multiverse.
Just kidding. Anyways, I'll be breaking down all things comics to movies to anime.
Join us and stay hydrated as we quench you with witty banter, unintentionally hilarious hot takes, and trivia more fun than a night at the pub, courtesy of Nerds Amalgamated. Welcome back to Nerds Amalgamated. This week we're talking about Half-Life 3 speculation, how to write like Alan Moore, and what you can see in the night sky this year.
But first, Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Happy New Year, Professor.
Happy New Year, DJ.
That's all I'm going to say. That's
By
all.
the time this comes out, it'll be a week after New Year. More than a week. And we already said this on New Year's Day, so...
Yeah. Hey, it's the first episode in the new year.
I suppose.
Oh, where's your sense of joy and wonder?
I'm getting old. It all just blends together.
Dude, I'm older than you. I feel so much more sprightful at times. Anyways, Half-Life 3 is coming soon, hey?
We hope so. I mean, we've been waiting for it for nearly 20 years now. Yeah, because Episode 2 came out in... Well, we haven't really been waiting for Half-Life 3. We've been waiting for Half-Life 2 Episode 3, which then got unofficially cancelled and morphed into Half-Life 3. Basically, instead of releasing a big game every 5 years, Valve wanted to experiment with releasing episodes every year to 18 months or so. So they continued the story of Half-Life 2, Episode 1 and Episode 2, ended Episode 2 on a cliffhanger with a big unhanging plot thread for what would happen in Episode 3. And we haven't heard anything since, except for Half-Life Alyx, which is a prequel, which I haven't fully played yet because I'm having fun with my Linux computer and VR. Any game that's not published by Valve works fine. The games that Valve published, which are the ones that are supposed to work on VR on Linux, I'm having trouble with, which makes no sense. So I'm only like one chapter in, and then I got to a crash to desktop and haven't managed to fix that yet.
So it's going to take a while. That's what you say.
It could, yeah. I mean, I've only had my VR set for a couple of months, but it's going to be a little while before I manage to fix it up, I think. Anyway, after the massive cliffhanger in Episode 2, they talked about Episode 3 for a little while. That never came out. Then they started talking about Half-Life 3, when they do talk about it, which isn't often. And then there's leaks every year or so that they're working on it, which probably true. They have been working on it, but because of the way Valve works, they have traditionally, I think it might be changing, but they have traditionally had a very flat organization structure where you can choose which project to work on.
Speaking of leaking and stuff, apparently I just opened up, when I typed on Half-Life 3 links on Google, the first link they're saying is Half-Life 3 has reportedly begun active playtests. First thing.
Yeah, so for the last nearly 2 decades, we've had leaks and they've mentioned it, or there's been a leak every year. And because Valve has a flat organization structure, there's no one really pushing to get it out the door until it's perfect.
Wait, not even Gabe is pushing
Not even
this?
Gabe. I think Gabe wants to be perfect more than anyone else.
Ah.
So there were leaks, like bits of code turning up in Counter-Strike that show that they were working on something that was likely Half-Life 3. But it's all come to a head in the last couple of days because the actor who plays G-Man, Mike Shapiro, posted a clip reading in his G-Man voice, saying the next century will deliver as many unexpected surprises. Sorry, he hopes the next century will deliver as many unexpected surprises as the millennium's first.
Ooh.
And of course, saying unexpected something around Half-Life fans, like, it's happening! Because of unexpected consequences.
Now that being said, with all of with this guy now coming out, is the meme will we see a bigger push for that Half-Life 3 meme?
Which meme?
You know how every time there's a games announcement show or a game award not game award show, there's always that possibility. Oh, Half-Life 3, we might get some Half-Life 3 guys. We might get some Half-Life 3 guys.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a bigger push for this.
And my favorite meme that whenever Gabe has an announcement, an appearance scheduled at E3 or Gamescom or anything like that, he's going to announce Ricochet 2. Which, if you don't know, Ricochet was a bit of a flop. It was a multiplayer uh, platformer FPS sort of thing where your projectiles would ricochet off walls. So Mike Shapiro has been completely silent since 2020 when Half-Life Alyx came out. And he's said that after the Alyx release, he said that he had worked on a blast from the past that he would announce when he's allowed to. And he hasn't
Oh,
announced anything else.
okay, okay. See, that's that's interesting. You've got the third most iconic character in the Half-Life universe doing this. That says a lot.
Who would you call more iconic than G-Man?
Gordon,
Obviously.
and then there is the daughter.
Alex. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess I can see your argument.
Yep. But the question is going to be a lot of people is going to ask a lot of questions to this announcement though is why now after all these years aside from the perfectionist side that is insane you're doing this announcement at a point in time when the gaming industry is at a very precarious position. That's a good
I
way to put it.
Yeah, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think if Valve are announcing Half-Life 3, it's
Hmm.
because it's ready. Because there have been times in the past, surely, that they have had less money than the billions that go through them now, the massive Steam sales. So I think if they are going to announce it, it's because they're ready, not because they have to. Well, we've also seen over the last year Half-Life, well, HLX appear in source code for other Valve games, which
Okay.
has been analyzed by Tyler McVicker, who follows Valve really closely. And his theory is that it's a non VR Half Life game. And the indications from the code are that they're working on stuff for voxel deformation, zero G and underwater navigation, and flammability.
Ooh, so does that mean we're gonna see the return of destructible environments in Half-Life?
Possibly.
Oh,
Which, yeah, that's something that I've been missing from AAA gaming for the past decade. It feels like since Red Faction Guerrilla, there hasn't really been a destructible terrain game in AAA.
okay. I would disagree on that. I mean, there is Battlefield that had destructible environments,
Yeah, but that's fairly scripted.
and
It does exist, but it's not also a core focus of the gameplay like it was in
hmm,
some older games.
yeah, yeah.
Is it even in 2042? I keep getting
No,
those two confused.
2042. Yeah, the destruction element got toned down severely. Yeah.
Yeah, and Battlefield 4 had Levolution or whatever they called it, which were heavily scripted destruction events where you could like blow up a dam or collapse a building. But a couple of years ago, the game Teardown came out, which is an indie game, fully voxel based destruction. And that was it's a really good game, even if it does chug a bit when you blow up a lot of things. Well, imagine that, but with a AAA Valve skin on it.
Oh, now you gave me really hyped up for this game now. Like, I want to get play this game now.
I know,
Damn
right?
it! I'm just more worried about like we getting all this like tempting stuff, and then it gets switched. Like we
Yeah, we
get a
could
bait
be
and
completely
switch.
wrong.
Yeah.
It might not even be Half Life. It might never release. They might like scrap it all and start again, which I understand has likely happened a couple of times. But the other exciting bit of news, apart from the playtest, which is a rumor from Gabe Follower, who is a previously reliable leaker, there's also Project White Sands, which it's been turning up on hiring announcements and people's resumes. And the link between White Sands and Half-Life is that Black Mesa I think it was in Nevada, which is also where the White Sands National Park is, if I'm remembering correctly. No, sorry, it's New Mexico I'm thinking of, not Nevada.
Okay.
So the theory there is that White Sands is a link to Black Mesa, so obviously that's going to be a Half-Life 3.
So, given all these details and all these new stuff, could this game, if it comes out, be the one thing that could save the gaming industry?
Well, I don't know that the gaming industry needs saving so much as we need to let the AAAs die out and the AA's take over. Because I think, aside from Half-Life for a moment, I think games have just gotten too big and too expensive to make and require such a big return on investment to break even
Yeah,
that they can't afford to take any risk because they need to make sure they get their money back. Like any company does, you want to make a profit.
yeah.
And the most guaranteed way to make a profit is to do something that already makes a profit.
Yeah. I
So
just
no
pray.
risk to take.
I just pray. I pray to God or Buddha or Allah or any other god in the universe that Half-Life 3 doesn't become a live service game. Oh dear Jesus, if it becomes a live service game, I will not like it at all.
Yeah, I highly doubt that would ever happen. It's Valve. Like, they're not saints,
Hmm.
but they're pretty good when it comes to making quality games that aren't live service, sorry. Like, they had to be dragged kicking and screaming into providing refunds on Steam by
Oh
the
yeah.
ACCC,
Yeah, yeah.
but otherwise, they're fairly good for looking after consumers.
Also, the interesting thing is going to be once you get Half-Life 3 out up and running, you might see a lot of like we might see an upgrade of CS, for example. You might
Well,
get an
that
upgrade.
just happened a
Hmm.
few months ago. Actually, probably closer to a year ago.
Okay.
Counter-Strike 2. The big thing there was volumetric smoke.
Okay.
They basically overhauled it with the latest version of the engine. And their big gimmick was that smoke would now react to your bullets and objects around it.
Ooh.
So you could clear a smoke cloud by throwing a grenade in it, that sort of stuff.
Although my other question is going to be with Half-Life 3 is how are they going to continue the story? How are they going to continue the story? Because if I recall, Half-Life 2 it ended with the Combine being destroyed. I need to play it again, but
Yeah, you do.
yeah.
So it's a tricky position because Half Life 1 ends with the famous decision scene where G Man recruits Gordon. Half Life 2 ends with, and I'm sorry if I'm spoiling any of this, but really, you've had enough time to play it. This is one case where I don't feel bad about spoiling things because if you're listening to this excited for Half Life 3, you've obviously already played the older Half Lives. And, it's been decades at this point.
Yeah.
And I know there are new people born every day. People who were born after the last Half Life game came out are old enough to be playing it. But, I'm sorry if I do spoil it, but anyway. Half-Life 2 ends with another sort of recruitment scene with G-Man. He pulls Gordon out of an explosion where he destroys the Citadel and basically says, "Well, good work, you're getting back into storage until I need you again." Episode 1 opens with the Vortigauns rescuing Gordon from G-Man. And then episode 1 leads pretty directly into episode 2, no G-Man involvement. Episode 2 ends with Gordon saving the White Forest base and preparing to leave for the Borealis, which is a tie-in to Portal. And at the last minute, a couple of Combine, they're called advisors, aren't they? The giant slug things. Yeah, Combine advisors break into the shed and kill Eli Vance.
Ah.
And then we get Fade to Black. And that's a tricky one because back when we thought episode 3 was coming out, it was likely going to start off right from there. But then, the games don't like taking control away from the player. They don't make you sit down and watch a cutscene without taking with your hands off the controller. It might lock you into a room while people talk, but you can still jump around and throw things and do whatever you want. Well, the Borealis is presumably a couple of hours worth of travel away from White Forest. So, how do you bridge that gap without taking control away from the player?
That's going to be an interesting. That's going to be an interesting way to tie it in.
Yeah, so the way I would have done it is to have Gordon regain consciousness in the helicopter as you come into land near the Borealis and have a, hey, you're finally awake. But, okay, someone should totally edit the start of Skyrim into the fade to black at the end of Half Life 2.
He's like, what? Oh, I just got shot with an arrow.
Like, you know
Okay.
that meme where it fades to black and then it cuts to the Skyrim opening?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that one. Yeah. That would just be funny, but yet wrong at the same time.
Well, technically, Skyrim and Portal are in the same universe
Huh.
because they added in a free mod, well, a free DLC to Skyrim, where the Space Core turns up.
Okay.
It's more of an Easter egg than anything else. But yeah, it's a bit of a crossover with Portal 2.
I'm curious to ask though, with this game, like since we're seeing all these other stuff that's coming out, you reckon we'll see this game come out before GTA 6?
Possibly.
Oh, that would be hilarious if it happens though.
Yeah, they've said GTA 6 will be released this year. I don't think we've got an official release date.
I thought it was next year.
Okay, let's find out.
Oh, they said fall 20.
No, coming 2025.
Okay.
According to the official Rockstar website.
Sure.
Well, they haven't announced the official release date, and
Mm.
that could still get delayed.
Oh yeah.
So, Valve also have previously done surprise drops for a few games where they announced them just ahead of release. So, Half Life Alex was announced on YouTube, doesn't show dates anymore.
Its initial release date was 2020 on Windows.
Yeah, here we go. November 22nd, 29. Then
Okay.
released March 23rd, 2020.
Yep. Actually, now that you mentioned Half-Life Alex, that's good. That will be an interesting idea. Here's an interesting idea. Can you imagine VR in Half-Life 3 as a continuation with Half-Life Alex?
I could. I'm not convinced they would go for it, though. Part of the reason I'm not convinced is that it would severely limit their customer base.
Oh yeah, it's true.
And a lot of fans still only play flat screen games. But it could tie into Project Deckard. Project Deckard is, from the leaks we've seen, a new VR headset from Valve. We know what the controllers look like because they leaked them in. Well, we know what they probably look like. They could still subject to change. They leaked them in the Steam VR application,
Hmm.
and the controllers are called Roy. Deckard
Of
and Roy.
course.
They're named after characters from Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
So if Deckard manages to be a really low cost headset,
Hmm.
maybe it'll be a launch game for Deckard, like Alex was a launch game or close to launch for the Index.
Yeah, this is with this announcement. This is very. This is. I hope this will be. We're gonna see a resurgence in the gaming industry, given what's happened last year. But at the same time, I'm just worried about like how they're gonna market this game as well. So I'm kind of like, oh, I hope this does well, but at the same time, don't screw it up.
They will market it by saying, hey guys, Half Life 3. That's all they need to do.
Fair.
There are enough fans out there who are absolutely nuts for Half Life. They basically just need to say, here it is, and it will sell gangbusters.
Oh yeah. Have they besides the all the stuff that you said earlier? Have they said like what engine they're going to use or anything like that in particular? Like this game is powered by Unreal Engine or something, anything like that?
Yeah, going by the leaks, it's going to be Source 2
Okay.
because that's Valve's internal,
Hmm.
and also the leaks have come through in other Source 2 games where bits of code and assets were popping up in
Hmm.
other projects.
Okay.
But speaking of other projects, we should move on to our next topic. Alan Moore has announced a novel that he's working.
Alan Moore, famous for his comics like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and Watchmen, has decided to write a novel series. And it is called The Great When, which is the first installment in his book series, The Long London Quintet.
Okay, so is that Long London, as in you've taken London and stretched it out? Or is that the Long London Quintet, as in it's the London Quintet, but it's going to be really long, like Lord of the Rings?
I'm guessing the latter at this point. I'm guessing the latter, but knowing Alan Moore, it's gonna be long and painfully dreary, and it'll make Zack Snyder's gritty and broody work look like child's play. So this book will be set in London in the immediate aftermath of World War II, and it stars a hilariously dunder-headed protagonist named Dennis Knuckleyard, who unexpectedly finds a portal to the titular Great When, a higher dimension where London is represented through arcane symbols rather than real-life landmarks.
Sounds very surreal.
Uh-huh. So this concept mirrors the imaginative landscapes more explored in the works of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where he blended fictional universes to create rich, interconnected narratives. In The Great When, he introduces original archetypes such as Harry Ludd and Charming Peter, embodying aspects of London's character, akin to the symbolic features in his earlier comic. And the prose in this novel reflects on the descriptive depth seen his collaboration with artists like Kevin O'Neill. Without visual illustrations, Moore employs vivid language and stylistic techniques such as italized text and shifts to present tense to evoke the outwardly experiences of his characters, enhancing the reader's immersion into these higher realities. So that's going to be an interesting look into London.
Yeah, it's I like the idea of having an alternative dimension that happens to be very closely tied to the real world.
Yeah, so Entertainment Weekly had a quick interview with Alan Moore about this, and they asked him. One question was the titular Great When, this other London that exists in the book is described as an inspiration for artists like Austin Spare and William Blake. Is that how you yourself can of artistic inspiration? Have you quote seen something like the Great When? To which Alan says, I conceive of what we call reality as having two major components, at least for us sentient human beings. There is the physical world where we do physical things like hitting our shin on a door edge, but we equally exist in the world of the mind. It's just that it's a world that science cannot really talk about because science is based upon repeatable physical experiments as it should be. But the world of the imagination, if you think about it for even a moment, it's pretty obvious that everything around us, the rooms that we're sitting in, the devices we're speaking on, the language that we're talking in, the clothes that we're wearing, the political situations that we're in, that these have all come from human imagination, and that ethereal and immaterial world is actually more enduring than our physical one. Huh. It feels like the Matrix, but it's not the Matrix in a sense.
Yeah, I can see the link that you're making there.
And he also says, this is the story of the human civilization, but that realm, even though it cannot be touched or talked about by science, seems to be vastly important. Now, obviously, I don't suppose that it has giant wooden men or talking cats or any of that stuff, but this is a fantasy that is trying to symbolize something that is really going on. I feel like the Great When it's like I said, it sounds like the Matrix, but it's not the Matrix. But on the other hand, it's going to be interesting seeing how science will look like on the other side of other side.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to know the rules of the Great When.
Hmm. I mean, from what he's said about the book in terms of the style, I wonder what other narrative strategies will Moore use in this book to replace the visual storytelling of his comic. That's going to be interesting to look at, and also, yeah, how will because my conflict is for the Great When is we've seen these types of tropes before, like we've seen the multiverse as well. Like, how will this be different to the Great When?
Well, there's always a chance to do something different.
Hmm.
And even if they are just using existing tropes, that doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's not bad, but then the repetitiveness is what makes it bad. Introduction to it, yeah, sure, it's fine, but repetitiveness is another thing. I mean, can you imagine the Doctor Who franchise repeating the whole multiverse concept?
Well, Doctor Who has had multiverses in it for dates,
True.
so it's more other things copying Doctor Who.
And another one in here, they also asked your descriptions of the Great When reminds me of Blazing World in your Extraordinary Gentleman. There's a similar stylistic techniques, such as italic fonts for the Great When, 3D glasses for the Blazing World. Have you redefined your approach to depict a higher reality? Which Alan Moore says, well, it's using them for different things. In Extraordinary Gentlemen, it's part of our attempt to take away the dividing lines between everybody's stories and just assume that every book that you've ever read, every movie that you've ever seen, these all happened on the same world, and that all of the characters probably knew each other. And so over the books of the of the League, we have the Blazing World, which I think I had been invented by the Duchess of Newcastle in 1666 and a kind of refuge for fictional characters of our vast world. One of the things that I don't like in a lot of modern fantasy or even historical fantasy is whenever children go through the back of the wardrobe in the Narnia, and it's really no big deal. If any of us were to even fleetingly contact a world with difficult physical laws, we would be in therapy for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, that reminds me of Flatland.
Oh yeah?
It's a classic book from the 1800s, I think. Basically, a cube is given the opportunity to explore the 2D world, and when he comes back to 3D land, everyone thinks he's crazy.
Oh, damn. Yeah, it continues on by saying it would be a shattering experience, and so that's what I've tried to get across in The Great When the character's reaction when they go into or out of other dimensions generally includes vomiting, weeping, and fainting.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah. So, would you want to read it?
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm fascinated with the idea of looking into parallel universes. I'm just wondering how the trying to reimagine it in your head would be very taxing, given the imagery and the language.
Amateur.
Uh-huh.
Well, talking about looking into the universe,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk about what's coming up in the sky this year. And the first event of note has already passed.
Oh yeah.
Is the perihelion, the point in
Oh,
the orbit when a planet or comet is closest to the sun. So the Earth is currently closer to the sun than it is during other times in its orbit.
wait, is that as in yesterday, or like is this one of those like this will only happen in America, but Australia will be this will only happen in America, and Australia
No,
will be in
this is
time
for the
for it.
whole world.
Ah, okay.
And if you're in Australia, you'll be able to see two major meteor showers this year. The Eta Aquariid,
Mm-hmm.
which is visible in May, caused by the dust and gas left by Halley's Comet.
I didn't know a comet could break wind.
Right, that's it. I'm cancelling the podcast.
God damn it. Have you seen them? Have you seen the meteor shower?
I'm not sure I've ever seen the Eta Aquariid, but they're caused by debris from Halley's Comet, which last appeared in 1986 and will next appear in 2061. I think it was Mark Twain who was born the year the Halley's Comet passed by and wrote that he expected to die when it passed by again, and he did.
Oh damn. Well, actually, I've just looked up Snopes and they about that, and it's it's a mix. They said it's a mixture. So Halley's perihelion, the comet closest approach to the sun, occurred in 1835 and 1910. Twain's birth years. What's false is that the comet was not at the closest point to Earth on the days that Twain was born and died.
Yeah, so obviously he wasn't linked to the comet spiritually or whatever you want to say.
Uh huh.
It's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
But it also happens to be that the time it takes for Halley's Comet to go on a full orbit is about the length of a human life. The other major meteor shower will be the Geminid shower occurring in December, which, because it won't coincide with a full moon, will be easier to view. And on September 8th, there will be a total lunar eclipse across Australia, Europe, Asia, Africa, and New Zealand.
You know what really frustrates me with all these with all these events is that we like it's the cloud cover.
Yeah,
Every fucking time there's always like or the meteor shower or the supermoon or the eclipse. They'd be like, I want to go outside and see it. Clouds or just clouds. I'm like, fuck.
yeah. I remember seeing the 2013, I think, eclipse.
Yeah.
That was special. It wasn't cloudy that day.
You bastard. Yeah, I hope the weather gets better this year so I could see these bloody things.
Yep. And so this year we will see three supermoons: September the 7th, October the 8th, and November 4th, which is when a full moon occurs near the moon's closest approach to Earth, the perigee. And you've got a last look at in the next couple of months to look at the rings of Saturn, because Saturn is orbiting and changing its axis to become edge onto the Earth.
What do you mean? As in, like, we will never see the rings of Saturn ever again?
No, they'll come back.
Ah,
This apparently is a cycle that happens every 13 to 15 years.
ah,
So they'll start coming back soon after they disappear. And the one I'm most excited about, but probably still won't get a chance to see, is the aurora. I saw the tiniest wisp of an aurora when I was in Iceland.
yeah.
And yeah, I've been chasing the dragon ever since.
Well, I mean, if you have a chance, you could go down to the southern states and do it.
I could, but it's tricky because you don't have a whole lot of notice. And then you have to
Yeah.
get time off work and get a flight and
Yeah.
get out of the city so you can actually see it.
And what's even worse is trying to take a photo of it without your electronics getting all messy would be that would be a tricky thing to do.
No, that's not really a problem
Oh yeah?
because the aurora is caused by the protection of the Earth from the solar wind. So your electronics are pretty safe. There can be extreme events like the Carrington event, which was a massive solar storm that caused telegraph lines to catch fire. It zapped telegraph operators, and this was like 250 years ago. So it would be a lot worse if it happened today.
Yeah. What's going to be fun with all these events? Can you imagine all the doomsday prophets coming out with crazy theories in the next few months?
Yeah, they've already been doing that.
Oh, I know, but if we say just getting more and more people into it,
Do you want to join a cult?
no, but I would like to just point and laugh at a cult.
You should join my cult.
You have a cult? Oh, that's like this I
I
gotta
do
see.
now. You want to join?
The cult of the professor.
Yeah.
What's
Come
the
on, join us.
what's the barrier of entry?
Nothing. Everyone's welcome.
Oh, I was gonna say all you need to do to join the cult is buy an Akubra hat and have your voice and talk like you. That would be a pretty good cult though.
The cult of sun protection.
Oh, and everybody should wear should wear Tom Baker's scarf as the accessory to join the cult.
Yeah, but then I'd die of heat exhaustion.
Oh yeah, it's true.
And that would be pretty messed up. So, DJ, what is our messed up moment this week?
Oh damn it! I forgot about. Damn it! I forgot it was it was my turn to do the messed up moment. God damn it! So okay, you ever heard of those magical girl anime series before?
Like Sailor Moon?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm aware of them.
Yeah, so there's one called Puella Magi Madoka Magica, and it's a cute in the beginning it's a cutie magical girl anime, and it's has a magical creature that can grant wishes to the heart's desire, provided she agrees to be a magical girl and participate in the war between magical girl and witches. And so in the series, there is she accepts to to become a magical girl and do it. And one of the characters, Homer Akemi, tries to talk. tries to talk her out of the decision, suggesting that she knows more that she lets on. And as what as Madoka meets other magic girls, Madoka learns that the world is not what it seems to be. And one of the deaths is so messed up that I don't want to even talk about it. I'll just show it to you on video.
So you're going to make me talk about it because you realize this is an audio podcast.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So this character, so the girl name is Mami, and she's, let's just say, she's the best of the best in the field, and she gets randomly eaten by a witch. Oh, actually, no, it wasn't a witch. It was a Walpurgis knight, and the way she gets eaten up, it's even more gruesome. But yeah, that's my messed up moment for this week.
Okay, so on to our shout outs. On the 3rd of January 2009, the first Bitcoin block was created. The Genesis block, created by Satoshi Nakamoto, who may be alive or may be dead or may be a group of people, created the Genesis block with the text, "The Times 03 Jan 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks," which is the date and headline of an issue of the Times newspaper, because the reason Bitcoin was created was as an alternative for banks. The domain bitcoin.org was registered on the 18th of August 2008, and on the 31st of October 2008, a link to the white paper by Nakamoto titled "Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system," was posted to a cryptography mailing list. According to computer scientist Arvind Narayanan, sorry.
I'll pronounce it for you. It's Arvind Narayan.
Okay. All individual components of Bitcoin originated earlier, but Nakamoto's innovation was combining them.
Hmm.
Academics initially argued that the white paper was worthless and that Bitcoin could not work. Well, here we are, and there is so much money in Bitcoin.
Oh. Okay, speaking of Bitcoin, did you put any money on the Hawk Tour Bitcoin?
No, I didn't.
You did it? Oh, that would have been hilarious.
Most of them are scams.
Yeah. Oh, I
There are
know.
people who argue all of them are scams.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, the Dogecoin is doing well.
And the point of a blockchain is that it's a decentralized, distributed digital ledger consisting of records called blocks that are cryptographically signed and are designed so that each block follows on from the previous one, so that you can track currency or Bitcoin through from when it is created all the way through the process to whenever it's moved or spent. And our wacky movie on the 3rd of November 1974 is Horror Express. In West Germany, the movie released in this day in 1974. Wait, 3rd of November? Did you do that right, DJ?
Yes.
Because
Oh wait,
normally we
no.
pick a movie from this week.
Oh, sorry. 3rd of January. Sorry. My bad.
So, Horror Express starred Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and Alberto de Mendoza. While traveling on the Trans-Siberian Express, an anthropologist and his rival must contain the threat posed by the cargo, a prehistoric ape which is the host for a life form that is absorbing the minds of passengers and crew.
I mean, screw snakes on the plane. Meet apes in the train.
How long did it take you to work on that one?
A few years.
Horror Express was produced on a budget of $300,000. Peter
I
Cushing was distraught over the loss of his wife shortly before the film. When he announced that he could not do the film, Christopher Lee stepped in and put him at ease by talking to his old friend about their previous work. You were going to say something, DJ?
I was gonna say 300,000 for a budget with big three actors. That's amazing.
Yeah, even in 1970s money.
Yeah.
And despite the freezing conditions and abominable food, it was one of the few co-starring roles where the two actors worked together rather than opposing one another. And apparently, Peter Cushing was so devastated by the loss of his wife that Christopher Lee would share his bed to prevent him from having night panic.
Aww.
There was only one set for the interior of the train cars. All of the scenes for each car would be shot at once, and the next set would be reconstructed so they could film the following scenes.
Huh.
And it's not an official adaptation of The Thing, or rather the book Who Goes There by John Campbell Jr., but it does have some similarities to it. But that's all we have for tonight, or today, since we're not recording at night for once.
Yes.
Look after yourself, stay hydrated, and we'll see you next time.
We're on Spotify and all your platforms, and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And on that note, stay happy, stay nerdy, and I will see you down the road.